Hey, what's up, you guys? Raylo here from KidneyPuncher.com, here to bring you another review. Today, we're going to be talking about the Tsunami 24mm RDA by Geek Vape. But before we go any further, as always, let's go ahead and drop down up close, take a closer look at the Tsunami 24. Alright, you guys, so here we are in up close mode with the Tsunami 24 RDA by Geek Vape. This is the box that it comes in. Right here in the front, it has a couple of the new things that they added to make this a better device. Flip it around to the back, it kind of tells you what it contains, and you get your scratch and check authenticity code. But let's go ahead and open up this box and show you what comes inside. So at first glance, what you see here is the stainless steel version of the Tsunami 24 RDA. And in this little box, you have all of your hidden goodies, all of the hidden goodies. So first thing that comes in here is, of course, a three-way tool by Geek Vape. This comes with two different Allens and a Phillip head screw. This tool comes in very, very handy, and make sure you save this because this comes in handy for multiple devices. It features a wide bore drip tip, delrin drip tip that is screwed on. The stainless steel version comes with a stainless steel 510 drip tip that's held on by a single O-ring if you prefer to use a 510 size. And you get your bag of extras. Let's see what comes in the extra bag. So as always, it comes with a couple extra O-rings just in case the ones that you have end up breaking over time. It also comes with a 510 drip tip adapter. You get 4 extra grub screws. And for you squonkin' vapors out there, it comes with a hollow 510. So that way you can add this to your device and use it on your favorite squonking device. All right, now let's get to the RDA itself. As always, we'll start from the top and work our way down to the bottom. So the Tsunami 24 RDA comes pre-installed with their kind of sloped delrin drip tip. This one is 9.5 millimeter inner diameter, and this one also just screws right down into your RDA. Take a closer look at the barrel. Yes, this is the windowed version of it. This is very, very sleek. So you have a glass window on both sides so you can take a look at your coil, see what's going on in there. Kind of a cool feature and gives it a kind of a unique look. Then when you take a look down here at the bottom, this is your airflow. These measure out to 8 by 3.5 millimeters, and you have one on either side for your dual coil builds. And also comes with a single coil option if you only choose to make one coil. So now we'll take a look at the very, very bottom. You have a gold-plated 510, and yes, it is fully adjustable. So if you're using a hybrid, you can unscrew this a little bit if you want, but if you see it does kind of stick out a hair, I would definitely want to unscrew this just a tad if I'm going to use it on a hybrid. You can see designed and manufactured by Geek Vape. You have your serial number and you have a signature, which I'm guessing is the designer. Now let's go ahead and open this up and show you the deck. All right, so here is the Tsunami 24 by Geek Vape. This is the deck. You can see we have two beefy square velocity style posts that come with 4 post holes that measure out to 3 by 2 millimeters, so you have ample room for any sort of wire build that you want to put in here. These are held on by 4 grub screws, Allen grub screws. Then we look down into the deck. Yes, you've probably seen this before. This is the Kennedy style airflow on this device. Each one of those tubes measures out to 3.5 millimeters, and you have an exceptionally large juice well. The juice well measured out to 6.5 millimeters in depth. If you take a closer look, this is your positive post. You can see the peak insulator on the inside, keeping you nice and safe. And you can see your gold-plated 510 pin down there at the center. And your negative is milled directly onto the deck. If you look here on the side, you can see Tsunami, which has been laser engraved into the barrel, and everything is held on by 2 beefy O-rings. Another cool feature about the 24 millimeter version is now you have an exceptionally bigger area to fit your wick in. To show you, let's go ahead and compare the 24 to the 22. So now you can see we have the 22 millimeter version here. We have the 24 millimeter version here. If you look in the deck, you can clearly see that you have way more space for your wick inside the 24 version. The 24 millimeter version offers you a 20mm deck in comparison to an 18mm deck on the 22 version. Another upgrade with the 24mm version is now you have 4.5mm from your airflow to the wall of your deck. So you do have much more room. So now you can see the 22 next to the 24 with the caps on. Another thing that they did is they shrunk down the height ever so slightly with the 24mm version. The 24mm version measured out to 29.5mm in comparison to the 22, which measured out to 30mm in height. Plus, of course, the biggest upgrade is now you get the window to see exactly what's going on the inside of your device. And it does come in stainless steel and in black. So there you go, you guys. That was the up close with the Tsunami 24. Let's go ahead and go back into FaceTime, talk about it, and vape on it. All right, so now we're back from up close mode with the Tsunami 24 by Geek Vape. Let me go ahead and take a quick vape on this, show you how it performs. So of course, as you can clearly see, it produces ample clouds for your vaping pleasure. And since it does come with that Kennedy style airflow, it does improve on the flavor, as do most bottom airflow devices. But let's go ahead and talk about some specs real quick before we get into the pros and the cons. So first things first, the Tsunami 24 is 24mm in diameter, of course. As I said down below, height without the drip tip measured out to 29.5mm. It comes with a 6.5mm juice well. It comes with 4 3.5mm airflow on your deck itself. The bottom airflow holes measure out to 8 by 3.5mm. You have 4 3x2mm post holes. The deck measured out to 20mm in diameter. And it comes with the 3 different drip tip options. So the sloped drip tip, which measured out to 9.5 inner diameter. Then you have the wide bore drip tip, which I'm using right now, which measured out to 11.3mm inner diameter. And then of course you have your standard 510 drip tip, which measured to 5.5mm in diameter. It does come with a gold plated adjustable 510 pin, which is a big plus. It comes with peak insulators, which is another big plus. And it is a full stainless steel construction. So that's it for the specs. Let's go ahead and talk about some pros and some cons. So first pro that I want to bring up is the fact that they give you 3 different drip tip options, which in my opinion is a pretty cool feature that comes with this. So you have your 2 delrin options, and then you also have your 510 option if you choose to go that route with the included 510 adapter. Another pro, and this is subjective of course, is I kind of like those little windows. Why, yes, it does kind of get a little fogged up. You can see here that it starts to get a little bit of condensation and fogged up, but it is kind of cool to see your coils. And when you fire it, see the vapor kind of shoot out there and bubble up on your coils. So that to me is a pro. To you, it might be a con. Maybe you don't want to see your coils, but I kind of like this. So that way I don't have to worry about pulling off my drip tip or pulling off the top cap to see what's going on inside my deck. Another pro would be your flavor. So flavor on this is pretty exceptional with that Kennedy style airflow. And since it's giving you a ton of that airflow, you cloud chasers will be just as happy as the flavor chasers. The fact that it comes with a gold plated adjustable 510 pin, another big plus. And on top of that, they add the squonking 510 pin if you guys are squonking and you need that hollow 510 pin. The 6.5mm drip well, so that way when you're filling this thing up, and it's the same with your airflow posts, those are equally at 6.5mm, so you have plenty of space on the inside of this to fill up your juice and go away. It actually says on the box that you could put about 2 to 2.5 mils of juice inside this without it leaking. Another pro would be the single coil option. So you do have single coil airflow if you're a single coil person. And one last pro is the construction on this is really top notch. I've seen no burrs, no anything on this that could show shoddy construction. So good job on that, Geek Vape. All right, so that's the pros. Let's go ahead and talk about some cons. So really the only con that I could find with this device, and it's the same with most bottom airflow style RDAs, if you put too much juice in this, it's gonna flood out. So you have to be careful when you're filling this thing up that you're not going above those airflow posts. Otherwise, the juice is just gonna come right out of your airflow. But as long as you pay attention not to fill this thing up and just go bleh and just pour a whole bunch of juice in there, that shouldn't be an issue. But other than that, I really don't have any cons on top of that. I mean, this device is really well made and it comes with a bunch of really awesome features. All right, you guys, so there you go. That is the review for the Tsunami 24mm RDA by Geek Vape. If this is where we part ways, thank you guys so much for watching. But if you want to stick around, we're going to go ahead and do an up-close build and wicking tutorial on this to show you exactly how to build and properly place your wick inside of this device. But if you don't want to stick around for that, totally understand. So thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, vape on. All right, you guys, so here we are in up-close mode with the Tsunami 24 by Geek Vape. Let's go over some of the tools that we're going to be using today. So, as always, we're going to be using some Kidney Puncher Nichrome 80. We're going to be using some Cotton Bacon version 2. We're going to be using our Coil Master tools. So we're going to be using some of the Coil Master scissors, the Coil Master needle nose pliers, the Coil Master precision clippers. I'm also going to be wrapping my coil with the Coil Master jig and using the 3-way tool that comes with your device. And to save some time, I also wrapped up a set of fuse Clapton coils. So one thing I wanted to point out, just to make this a little bit easier for you when you're building on these velocity style decks, is one step that I take is I turn my lead wire. So if you look on here, since our wire is wound up flat, and what ends up happening in these style posts, as you can see, since they're not round and the grub screw is going to grab it from the side, one thing that can end up happening as you're tightening down your screw is it could distort your coil. So to keep the integrity of the coil and make sure that everything lines up and is nice and straight, what I do is I'll take a pair of my needle nose pliers, I'll grab the lead, and I'll bend it so that way it is vertical instead of horizontal. And that way, when you tighten down your grub screw, it gives it a nice flat surface to tighten down to. All right, so let's go ahead and get this build started. So like you saw before, we have our coil prepped and ready to go. Go ahead and stick one end into your top positive and one end to your bottom negative. One thing you want to see here is you want to cover up those 2 airflow holes with your coil so that way you don't have wick exposed to those causing it to leak. So let me go ahead and tighten these up. So once you have your coils all tightened up, you have your leads at this end. We're going to go ahead and take our flush cutters and cut those right off as close as we can to the post. All right, so we got our first coil installed. Let's go ahead and switch this thing around and install our second coil in the opposite holes that we put in our first one. So what makes the velocity style decks so convenient to build on. Let me go ahead and tighten this one down and we'll be right back. All right, so now we got our coils in nice and tight and snug. Next step will be to dry fire them. And when you're dry firing your coils, I always lower my wattage to about half of what I would normally use it at once it's ready to go. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll come back and show you how to dry fire and clean up your coils. All right, so we have our coils ready to go. I have my pair of ceramic tweezers. You can use stainless steel tweezers, but just be careful not to touch your coil while firing it. Benefit of using ceramic tweezers is they're non-conductive, and you can squeeze and touch everything while you're firing it. Makes this process a whole lot easier. So first things first, we'll give this one a little squeeze as we pulse fire our coils. One thing that you'll probably notice as I'm doing this is you'll start to see some of the colors come out of this beautiful, beautiful Kidney Puncher Nichrome 80. So what you're seeing is the legs are actually heating up, but that's normal in this process. The next thing you want to do is just kind of strum your coils a little bit. This helps to get everything evened out. All right, so here we go. We got them all dry fired and they're firing nice and even. That's exactly what you want to see from the inside out. So now let me go ahead and let this cool off. We'll come back, we'll grab our cotton bacon, and I'll show you how to wick this bad boy. All right, so I pre-cut myself a couple pieces of wick here of the Cotton Bacon version 2. You go ahead and twist one end as tight as you can to make it easier to feed right through your coil. Once it sticks through, grab it by that end and pull it till it has a decent amount of tension, but not too much. And if it starts to bunch up, just keep doing it until you get a nice clean wick, just like that. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other one off camera. All right, so we got our wicks installed into our coils. Now we'll take our coil master scissors and we'll just cut it down. With this device, you only want your cotton to sit at the base. You don't want it to fill up the deck. So probably about right there looks good. Right, now that we have that all done, we're going to go ahead and take our tweezers again and just tuck our cotton right down into those little slots right along the side of your airflow. All right, so now we got our wick installed perfectly. One thing to note is you don't want your wicks to cover up your airflow. So go ahead and take your tweezers or whatever you're using and just kind of push your cotton as far off to the side as possible. And you can see we have enough clearance from our airflow and air should be able to circulate all the way around our coil. So now let's go ahead and put some juice on it. So today we're going to be using some Bradley's brand 3-hour tour. This is a delicious combination of pineapple with cantaloupe and honeydew. Definitely one of my favorite melon tropical flavors here. So what you want to do, especially with cotton bacon and a lot of these new types of wicking cottons, is you want to make sure that you pre-saturate because it doesn't necessarily grab onto your juice that first time. After that, it soaks it up like a sponge. So I like to go through and just paint my wicks down. You don't want to flood out this deck because if you do get the juice to rise up high enough, it can go into those juice holes and flood out the side. And we don't want that to happen, so let's go ahead and just paint our wicks. Once we have everything painted, I go ahead and just dump a little bit of juice right down in the center and just let it sit for a little bit, let it get all nice and saturated, and then give it a test fire. So this coil came out to 0.14 resistance. Let's go ahead and fire it, see how it vapes. All right, we have vapor. So there you go, you guys. That was the up-close build tutorial for the Tsunami 24 by Geek Vape. Hopefully you guys learned something. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review, and hopefully you enjoyed the build portion. So, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, vape on.